Pick up your gear and open your chests. Throw on your armor and head out on a quest. Hey, hey, it's a brand new day. On the Sword Coast, your allies will help with blazing bows and magic as well. Hey, hey, heroes on their way. Fighting forever against overwhelming odds. Fighting together in favor of multiple gods. Idle champions of the forgotten realms. Idle champions, adventure never ends. Idle champions, hit you all out there. Idle champions, you will say it again. Idle champions. From Waterdeep to Icewind Dale, head out to Chull or Shadowfell, hey, hey. Together we stay. Walk to the monsters, walk to the boss, walk to the right, it's never a loss, hey, hey. Bad guys to slay. Fighting forever against overwhelming odds. Fighting together in favor of multiple gods. Idle champions of the forgotten realms. Idle champions, adventure never ends. Idle champions, hit you all out there. Idle champions, you will say it again. Idle champions.
Happy time zone, everybody. We are back with another edition of Gaarawarr's Guide, the tutorial show. I'm Gaarawarr. I feel like that's obvious. There have been so many of these by now, but who knows? Maybe there's new people who are like, what? Yeah, so Wild Gaarawarr has appeared. And for those of you spamming code in chat, I'm sure Martin, who's my moderator today, has updated it by the bot by now. But the thing with the code is we never update the code until the person is actually on screen. So, the Toadson notice is out early. The show started. Come watch a show. If you don't want to watch a show, you can always copy it out of the Discord or something, or off Reddit later. We are here to educate and inform and help you along your journeys. Today we're doing something a little different on the tutorial show. Usually we take a topic and we deep dive into it and I talk for an hour, and then in the second hour we do a Q&A. In the past, we tried to do tutorial shows around a couple difficult variants for patrons, but today we're just gonna dive right in and we're picking one. We're picking one difficult variant that seems to be a constant thorn in people's paw, and we're just going to talk about that. I'm going to do it live on stream, the regular version of it, because I feel like the patron versions are basically the same. I know usually people are like, hey, can you recommend a formation for this variant? And I'm like, no, because that's not how this works. So for those of you who want to know how this works, welcome to Gaarawarr's Guide to a Lesson in Classes. A Lesson in Classes is the unlock variant for Xerophon, our doppelganger champion, non-binary, they, them pronouns. We unlock this in Icewind Dale, so we're going to head up north. Sean went in and flagged this as not done for me, because I did this a long time ago. But we're going to do it again. We're going to do it again. So, for those who don't know, so if you have questions, first off, if you have questions, Martin, again, is in the mod pod today. Martin's grabbing questions already. I will address them as I get time. Normally it's in the second hour, but, basically I'm going to talk and I'm going to get this set up. And once it's set up, then we'll hit questions as it progresses. Because the thing about doing difficult variants is sometimes you set up a formation at the beginning only to be forced to change it later on. That's kind of part of the way this game works. So I don't know, spoiler alert, I don't know if the formation I build when we start this is going to be the one that I end this with. I hope it will be, but it isn't necessarily. Here's a lesson in classes. A lesson in classes is all the way at the end of your journey in Icewind Dale, off of the Fall of Yathrin. That's how I pronounce it. So the Fall of Yathrin, all the way at the bottom. I mean, they packed a lot of stuff into this last adventure node. This is probably one of the most packed adventure nodes in the game. But so yeah, you start off down here at the Giant's Bane Tavern, and you make your way up, and you do a little loop-de-loop because you got lost, and then you come around here. Then we go over here, and then come down, and then you follow the thing all the way over here to the glacier. When you finish the full storyline, you just have to do the storyline. You get to the full storyline, you get to a lesson classes. All you have to have completed is the Fall of Yathrin. You do have to get to Area 725. This is a significant goal. This is a significant area goal. Considering the patron versions are higher than this, you definitely have to have a decent amount of power. Beyond decent, I'm being polite. You have to have a lot of power on your account to get to Area 75, let alone to get further for all the way up through Zariel. Especially given the restrictions here. So the restrictions here are unique. There isn't another variant in the game that has this restriction. And I think that's what throws a lot of people off. First off, as we can see down here on the formation, there's a big red X here. This means that you can't put anything in this formation slot. So we know right away we're only dealing with a 9 champion formation. That's a significant power loss already. Still got to get to 725 with only 9 champions. Doing this is obviously going to unlock Xeraphon and give us some gems and some, whatever favor we earn, blah, blah, blah. But really we're here for Xeraphon and the challenge. So we're going to be doing this formation. We're going to be down 1. This X, as we're about to find out, is actually going to be an NPC. It's going to be an NPC version of Xeraphon. That's not going to help us really the way we'd like. So the restrictions, this big block of text, is what makes this so difficult. Xeraphon joins the formation for this adventure to see what it's like to fight alongside the champions. They don't attack. They're just here to observe. Only 1 champion of each class can be included in the formation at any time. Multi-class champions count for all of their classes. Xeraphon does not have a class for this variant, so Xeraphon doesn't count against you. I wonder if that means I could use Xeraphon. We won't do that. I was like, can I use Xeraphon and not have it count against me? But in an attempt to distract and confuse the enemies, Xeraphon transforms into the first enemy who spawns in each area, increasing damage against that type of enemy by 100% for the rest of the area. So there's a tiny little bonus here that you do double damage to whoever Xeraphon is doppelganging. But really it's not a huge thing. The big restriction is only 1 champion of each class can be included in the formation, and multi-class champions count for all their classes. What does this mean? Well, those champions who like to take 1 level in everything, that's not a good idea here. So if somebody's say like a bard and a rogue, well, guess what? You can't. That's the only bard and or rogue you can put in the formation. This is what gets people in trouble. because a lot of champions like to multi-class, and guess what? That works against you here. So you have to be real careful. You can only have one bard in the formation. You can only have one druid. You can only have one fighter. You can only have one rogue, right? Like, that's it. This is the challenge of a lesson in classes. And it's what really, I guess, kind of breaks people. This is easily the most requested variant on Formation Save. If you haven't been to Formation Save, it's the show where you can literally submit your formation in an adventure. They will pull up a copy of it on stream and optimize your formation for you so that you can complete the adventure. A lesson in classes is like always submitted. So hopefully we can help some people wrap their head around this. If you are not to the point where you are in lesson in classes yet, or you're not even remotely near a lesson in classes, hang out anyway. This is going to be very much, this is a very specific form of formation building, but I'm very heavily leaning into what I refer to as Formation Strategy 101, which is how do you build a formation? How do you go about optimizing a formation? This kind of information can be useful to you. It's what I consider foundational knowledge for this game. So yeah. So again, this is all the way at the end of Icewind Dale. Super high completion area. So first off, people are like, how much favor should you have before you go in here? That answer is always as much as you can get. Like literally, I have a bunch, but the thing is when you see a completion area of 725, you're gonna have all of your champions leveled up as to their soft cap, and that's really the big deal. Like beyond that, it's to get to 725, you need more than favor. It's kind of the Back to Future reference. Where we're going, we don't need roads. Well, when you're trying to go to 725, favor isn't what gets you there. Favor isn't what gets you there. You need patron perks. Those are the permanent buffs from patrons. You need a Modron core that's been leveled up, hopefully to 15, and hopefully you have it full epic. That's going to help a lot. The difference between not having a Modron core at all and having a modest core that's level 15 and full epic is 100 levels of progress minimum. So having other forms of power to help push you is going to be required, because favor isn't going to do it. Favor isn't going to get you there. You might also, by this point, because Baldur's Gate Descent into Avernus happens right before Icewind Dale, you might also have you'll have unlocked Trials of Mount Tiamat and the Legendary Forge. You may have some legendaries floating around. Hopefully, they're on somebody that you can use for a lesson in classes. Hopefully, so having lots of other power in your account is going to be a big deal. Of course, I'm also going to throw down potions. I've got potions. We'll throw some. We know this is a difficult one. We know we're going to a high number, so I'm going to go ahead and throw in epics at the beginning. So let's hop in. Fire it up. Let's see what's going. Suggestions: save the VOD for this episode and upload it to YouTube. That's what happens with all of the Gaarawarr's guide tutorial shows. It's my understanding that they haven't necessarily been putting them all in the playlist. How did I get to 41? I don't know. I think we've got some shenaniganry going on. Let's pull everybody out. Let's do this again. It auto-loaded some stuff for me. Let's get rid of this. Silly. We'll throw some familiars out. Because I know I want to go super far. I'm gonna throw down Giant Strength. I'm not gonna use that one. Clairvoyance, just because I have them. Heroism, definitely. We want the health. I'm gonna use an hour. You know what? No, I'm gonna use like a half an hour. Fire Breath, and I'm gonna do speed, but not yet. We'll throw down speed in a moment. Okay. So, again, my restriction here is I can only use one champion of each class. And multi-class champions count for everything. So let's talk about multi-class. This is what multi-class looks like. If under the class it says Warlock Sorcerer, there's more than one thing here. That means they're multi-class. If I want to use Ayla, arguably one of the strongest, if not the strongest support buffer champion in the game, I have to give up all other warlocks and sorcerers for this power. So if this is something I want, I have to know that I'm giving up everybody else that's in this, right? Alternately, someone like Gaarawarr comes in as just a fighter. I mean, not just a fighter. She's also a fashion icon, but this is more efficient for a lesson in classes, is to find champions who are a single class who do things really well. So I kind of want to lean towards things like that. If we look at Briv, hey, Briv's a paladin. Great. That's fantastic. We don't have to worry about like 4 roles, just a class. So I could bring Briv in. Briv's a single class star. And he's actually going to be functional for me because he's not taking anything away. He's not removing any other champions for me other than other paladins. I have to know that is Briv really the only paladin I want? I'm comfortable with Briv. Briv's a pretty solid in-game champion. So that's what I'm going to look for. What I'm going to look for first is what end-game champions, like what meta champions, that might have, like Briv here has multiple legendary items. That's the orange border around the outside. All of my champions are epic, so that's not something I have to worry about. But if they have legendaries, that makes them more valuable to me because they're bringing extra power to this. Champions that I might not be able to get away with. Ashara. Ashara is a wizard, which is a single class champion. But if you've played around with Ashara, you'll know Ashara wants to make her bonds. Her bonds require you matching 4 champions of certain types, of certain races. And you need to do that twice. Doing that with this type of restriction might not happen. You could try it. But it might not happen. So because of the restrictive nature of Ashara, I probably don't want to bring Ashara in here. That's actually, might be a problem for her, benchmate Krond. Krond wants, evil and, strong, but because we are, it might be a little easier with Krond, but because we are restricting it to those things, a lot of those types of people tend to overlap a bit. Strong people tend to be fighters or paladins. Not always, but we can't have too many. So that might be problematic with Krond, but you can try it. I think Artemis is functional. He has a single class. He just needs to, you have to hope when you're building out your other classes that they have positional formation abilities to make him work. So there are challenges here when you're building this out. So I see somebody just mentioned Zorbo. Zorbo is a ranger. So a single class, potentially functional here, right? Potentially functional here. And Zorbo is what I call support agnostic. Zorbo doesn't care who's supporting him. Zorbo just goes out and kills things. It doesn't need anything. Doesn't need anything at all. Just buffs. Just give Zorbo the buffs and he's going to kill things, right? So Zorbo's a good idea. Somebody say Rosie Bee Stinger. Rosie's a monk. So a single class. This was a kind of a joke because Rosie's not the strongest DPS in the game. But one of the things you have to look at is, are there others of these classes that, like, can this champion do their job well? And is there any other class in here that might compete with them? And it's going to take a little of trial and error. So, let's look at our other, one of our favorite speed champions, Humon. Humon's a rogue and a bard. This is difficult. It is difficult to justify Humon here. Because rogue, there are a lot of strong rogues out there, and there's a lot of strong bards out there. So getting rid of both of those for Humon, not necessarily the best idea. Like right off the bat, the Deacon would be nice, but Deacon's a bard. If I'm going, jeez, if you have nerds is not a good choice here. Nerds are fighter, ranger, bard, cleric, rogue, wizard. No, this is not going to happen. But you might be able to pull off an Akira. Cleric is a very stacked class. There are multiple clerics that are very good in this game. Arguably, or Kira is arguably one of the best, though. So I can comfortably throw Kira in here. Nerds is the worst choice here. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Nerds is horrible. Nerds is an example of the worst possible decision you could make when doing lesson classes. Whittle's a wizard. We've got a bunch of things in here. I can't use Celeste now. Celeste is a cleric. I can throw a level in, but as you'll note, I can't. When I try to bring them out, it's just X'd over. You can't have any more clerics because I already have Orkira out. Blueshy's a warlock. But you wouldn't have Blueshy yet by now. So we're gonna have to go through and make some decisions. Spurt is a rogue, but Spurt's a lot of fun. Drama. That's a whole other skin for Grama. Grama is a druid. There may be, so one of the, I like Grama a lot. So I want to look, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click through here. I'm going to pick like kind of best in slot. You know what? If I know I'm not, well, Wizard Cleric, can't use Alindra. Crawl Cleric, can't use Crawl. Go back to Shandy. Shandy's a rogue. Don't know if I want to use Rogue for Shandy. Dungeon Master is classified as a wizard, but we couldn't. He loses. He doesn't get his. In this version, he wouldn't be able to bring anybody in. So this is challenging. We can't use Evelyn because she's a paladin. Sergeant Knox could be a fighter, but we already have a tank. Unfortunately, Rhea's a paladin as well, so Rhea's not going to be able to join us. So really kind of our only option out of here that could be functional is a Shandy. If we come over here, like, usually Freely's who I would want, but Freely's a bard and a warlock. That's not going to be great for this situation. Again, Freely's great. Freely's super powerful. But to take both bard and warlock off the table for me may not be something I want to do. I'll be able to look later. Again, I'm kind of just throwing in some placeholders potentially. Like here, we'll go ahead and I'm going to throw in Shandy. I'm going to throw in Grama. Do I want? Yeah, Baloth's a sorcerer, so we'll throw Baloth in. We'll say these are kind of placeholders. Like, are they going to work? But Bard and Warlock, I don't have any Bards out. I don't have any Warlocks out yet. But I don't know if I want to throw Freely in just yet. I want to look at what else is going on. Caddy Bree is a solid support fighter. And we don't have a fighter in yet. Wrong button. Gosrick could be interesting here. Gosrick's a druid, though, and I already have a druid. So I'm probably going to placeholder a Caddy Bree for the moment. And we'll see what else. We'll see what else happens. Special mention to Beetle and Grim. As we all know, Beetle and Grim, well, hopefully we all know, are a tag team champion. Rogue, Wizard, Barbarian. This is 3 classes in one. However, there is an interesting thing where when you bring them in, they would only come in as whatever their current class is, which is Barbarian. And you can kind of tag team them over. Like, they're not going to count as the others for the moment. But you can still switch them around. Is that intended? Who knows? Does it work? Yes. So Rogue, Wizard. Do I not? I don't have it. I technically don't have a Rogue or a Wizard in this. Oh, no, I do have a Rogue. So as you can see, we've kind of skirted some of the rules of lessening classes because of the tag team nature of Beetle and Grim. Because basically they have a rule that says, hey, if one of them's allowed, they're both allowed. It doesn't always work, though. Doesn't always work. Now, if we take them out and we try to drag them in, you'll note now the game respects the tag appropriately, right? So to get them back in, we would have to remove our Rogue, and then we need to tag team back to Barbarian to be able to put a Rogue back in. So there's some workarounds here for Beetle and Grim if you want. Should we try Delina? No, we're not doing Delina, folks. What do we have? We have a Barbarian Druid. Can't use Tatiana because I already picked a Druid. Corazon's a Rogue. Already got a Rogue. Walnut's a Druid. So I'm kind of a little more limited here. I still think Beetle and Grim probably an option. I don't usually like to break the rules that way, but it is possible. Ayla can come in as a Barbarian. Now, Ayla is a tank. But also support. Ayla actually does a lot of support work from anywhere in the formation. She doesn't have to be in the front tanking for you. Makos, Warlock. Like, if we want to bring in a Warlock, Makos can come in and be your Warlock. In this situation, I mean, Shaka could come in and be Warlock. They're straight up Warlock. Who else would I potentially use? Morgaine could come in and be a Ranger. But not if we're going to use Zorbo as DPS, which is where this is kind of headed. So potentially Ayla. We'll throw Ayla over here. I'm not using Rosie Beestinger. Technically, I could use Rosie Beestinger DPS. There's a part of me that wants to, just to see what happens. Unfortunately, I can't use my boy Tyrell. He's a Druid. I already got Gromma. I got to choose between Tyrell and Gromma. Boy, is that tough. I like them both. But for the moment, we're going to stick with Gromma. We've got an option here for DPS, a Barbarian Druid, but again, I've already got a Druid in. So this is, as you can see, this is the thought process. I just want to look and see, like, who might I want, and what are their restrictions? Alcoria is a wizard, but I'm not really using a lot of casters. Torrigar, again, Barbarian. If we want to bring in a Barbarian, if we don't want to use Beetle and Grim, we could use Torrigar as a support, but that's more for, like, evil people. We'll still flash a little. Yeah, I can't bring Ayla in because I have a sorcerer already. Avern's a Warlock sorcerer. Balos is sorcerer. Nova's a Warlock, though. Did you know that? Did you know we have a Warlock tank, folks? This could actually be a big deal, especially if you put Nova in right away. Nova has some serious strength. Warden Warlock also, if we want a debuffer, if we don't want to go for the Nova. Now bringing in Nova, we also have a potential Paladin and Dragonbait. Bringing in Nova means we would really want Nova as the tank, which means we would probably get rid of Briv, and we could look at a different Paladin, or we could look at somebody else from this slot. We don't have a Bard yet, so we could Calliope. So that's a possibility. That's a possibility. Again, here in slot 12, I'm kind of leaning if I want to go DPS with Zorbo, or if I want to just say Rosie. I'm not going to do Rosie, folks. That's rude to do on stream to people. So we're going to go we're going to go DPS as Zorbo. And now I just need to figure out who else I want to support. Here's the thing. If I go Nova, that allows me to go Dinar as Paladin. That allows me to go as Dinar as Paladin. I'm going to do that for this setup. Now, keep in mind, this is my thought process when I go to start any variant. Who is allowed? I check all the slots to see who's allowed, if there's restrictions there. And then I kind of try to pick the best of what I see in those slots that I know is going to work with the other people I have been adding in. And then I try it out. So we're going to try this out. I'm just going to throw a bunch of familiars out here to level things up for me because I'm lazy. I'm going to pick what I think are the best potential specializations for this situation. I'm going to stop here and I'm going to go look and see how many champions this is applying to. Normally mass appeal is a no-brainer, but I want to come over here and I want to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, only 5. I'll go ahead and if it was already applying to more of them, like if it was applying to everybody because there were some ties, then I wouldn't bother here, but I'm going to go ahead and choose mass appeal. That's going to get me the best buff. And I have another hero of Erois out here, so that's actually... I've got some nice synergy here with a pair of heroes of Erois. So we're going to run with this, and we're going to see what happens. So now that I have this set up, I'm going to go ahead and pop a potion of speed. And we're going to go faster. I might pop 2. We need to go 725 levels. This is going to go real fast in the background, folks. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I kind of threw these champions out based off my general knowledge of them, and I just want to verify that everybody's getting buffed correctly. Orkira's outgoing stuff, she heals non-adjacent, that's fine. She's set here to target to heal as many people as possible. Everything else she has is a debuff on enemies. So, totally okay. So, we're okay there. Dinar's aura, well, his healing is fine. That goes anywhere. Lead by example. He just needs to be either in the same column as the DPS, or he needs to be ahead of the DPS. Well, he's in the second column. Zorbo's in the third. We're good. We're good. Gromma doesn't care. I already know this. Gromma just loves everybody. She doesn't care where they are. So it's just debuffs and damage all champions. That's fine. Baloth buffs either in the column ahead of or behind him. He is behind Zorbo, so we get the buff. He also will increase the damage of, or increase some of his stacks based off champions in front of him being attacked. So we do have about half the party available to get hit by AoEs. If we really wanted to optimize his stacks, his naturally accruing stacks, we would adjust this so that he was in the back and the DPS is in front of him. But I can't do that for reasons we'll get to in a moment. There's too many things that want to be behind the DPS. So he's fine right there. This is fairly optimal. Fairly optimal. Not perfectly optimal, but fairly optimal for him. Shandy wants to have champions with a high dex within 2 slots of her. I'll be honest, I don't always build around this one. Dex 15 or higher. Who's got... You know, she's not dexterous. She's at 14. Does she have a stat for that? No. Okay. Dinar's at 8. Gromma's at 10. He's at 14. Nope. Bree's high. She's probably the one triggering it. We need to get Ayla within 2. Or that would be helpful. Ayla, Nova, and Zorbo would all be helpful. So let me go double check that I'm reading this right. Damage within 2 for each one adjacent. So I would need to move more adjacent, which technically we could do. Maybe? Let's swap here. That's going to get me 1 more. And we're still getting the bonus on Zorbo. And I should have 2 people? Yeah, that's probably the best scenario. Because we need her... The other thing that we have to build around is Explosive Arrow. It's not applying right now, but she does give a decent buff to the column in front of her. So we could move some things around, but we're fine. We're fine. The nice thing is Agile Allies applies within 2, so it is applying to Zorbo. Zorbo doesn't have to be adjacent to Shandy. He just needs to be within 2 of Shandy. We just have to make sure we have 2. We're getting the max with this situation. The max number that we could apply. In a more ideal situation would be to put her here, but then we wouldn't be getting her other buff. I don't know that would be worth it. No, I don't think the pre-stack multiplier would be worth that. We can always play around with it later. Caddy Bree, she does mark for death, so that's enemies that she hits. That's fine. And she buffs people ahead of her. And it's just... Where's that? Death March. Increases the damage of Caddy Bree and champions ahead of Caddy Bree for every marked for death enemy. Now, the key term there, ahead of her, means everyone ahead of her. So Caddy Bree, you put Caddy Bree all the way in the back. Unless she's the DPS, and then you might change her position. But when you're putting Caddy Bree in as a support, Caddy Bree goes all the way in the back. Next up, Ayla. Again, Ayla doesn't care. If she's not the actual tank, you can put her anywhere you want. Because she's basically marking champions with her Storm Aura. And by smacking them, she can do that from anywhere. Nova wants to be the tank. Doesn't have to be the tank, but generally speaking, that's where you go. And her buffs are basically based... It targets champions with the highest intelligence. So we just have to look down here and know this and see Zorbo in this list to know that we're actually buffing our DPS. You have to be careful with Nova. You don't want to pair her with a very not smart group because, well, you either need to pair her with a smart... Everybody's smart, everybody's not smart. Everybody needs to be around the same range because ties work for everybody. But you need to make sure your DPS is showing up in this list. Is the key. And then she just needs to be in all the time to get as many stacks as possible. Yep, that's that. And Zorbo, again, Zorbo just wants to kill things. Zorbo just wants to kill things. He has positional stuff if he's a support, but he's not a support here. Now I need to look around. What else do I want to check? We're in the Rime of the Frost Maiden campaign, so I need to check these left blessings. Is there anything that's positional here? Increase the damage champions in the back 3 columns of the formation. Yeah, he's in the back 3. It's 1,000%. That's, that's not too shabby. There's other potential situational changes that might make that not care, but we want to, if we can hit everything, we want to. None of these are based off positions. Increase the damage of champions in the bottom slot. Okay, so I want to look potentially to put my DPS down in the bottom slot of a column. Let me see if there's anything else. Sometimes you'll get places where they do the bottom or the top, like Tomb of Annihilation. So let me see if I need to look for that or not. Affiliation, underground, generic, effect of the rhyme, all champions, magic attacks, increase the damage of champions with a magic attack. Oops. So ideally, You might not go into this a lesson in classes with tier 5 blessings, but if you do, know that there could be a bonus for trying to find a magic attacker here. Delina? What? Delina? What? No. Not going to do that. Also, staying warm is a bonus. Increases damage of champions with less than a 5-second attack cooldown. That is not Zorbo. So faster attackers and magic attackers could get a bonus here. But I do want to move Zorbo. Now remember, I moved some people around already to make sure they were adjacent to Shandy. But what we're going to do is we're going to put them back. But we're going to alternate everybody. We're basically just going to flip that end of the formation. So that the DPS is on the bottom, but we still get all the same adjacencies. So that whole situation stays the same. And we just get a little bit of a damage bonus for that. The other thing I want to look at is, do I have my patron perk set to global? Because I'm not doing a patron thing. Well, I have all the patron perks, but if I didn't have all the patron perks, I would want to reset my patron influence, because you can do that for free. And I would make sure, and I would want to try to max out whatever I could on the global side to carry as many bonuses as possible, as much power as possible into this run. I would also check, as I start to slow down, I have my speed core in now, but as I would start to slow down, I would want to use whatever my strongest core was for this situation. I have all my cores at level 15 and Epic Flow, so I can switch around as I wish. But I'll see how far I can go for this run. If I can't get to 725, I'll switch. The best one for Zorbo's probably the Modest Core. Should be the Modest Core. Yep. All right. So normally we would wait to do questions until the end of the show, but I'm going to do some now after I get some water. Okay. Let me see if I can find something that's actually on this topic. Well, let me see if I can find something that's actually on a lesson in classes. If not already spoken about how many get quests into Icewind Dale. I mean, it's all the way at the end. Yeah, lesson in classes is basically it's a variant off the very last storyline adventure. Canellan, do you think Veronica might slot in well to Krond-based lesson in classes attempts? Slot one evil druid that also counts as dead. For Desmond, seems like it'd be a great addition to the already powerful Blueshy Spurt Desmond Krond combo. Can you run Blueshy Spurt Desmond Krond in this? I mean, maybe. Splurt's gonna be a rogue. Blueshy's a warlock. Druid. Desmond is a ranger. Yeah, I mean, so potentially, yeah. You're gonna get some strong potential combinations there. With Blueshy, though, you're definitely gonna want to make sure Blueshy is your DPS from the get-go. Or not your DPS, your tank from the get-go. She has a ramping mechanic that you're going to want to stack up as much as possible. You want to get as much power out of Blueshy as possible. Spurt is his name. Splurt is what happened to him. Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, I mean that. Krond is the. I didn't want to start off with a Krond attempt. On a lesson in classes. Krond is what I will switch to. I want to have something in my back pocket as an option if we get into the 705 and can't go any further or something, right? Then we might try a Krond formation, or we might try an Artemis formation. They're a little stricter, a little more challenging, and a lot of people don't necessarily, even by at this point, they may not have necessarily started to flush out their roster to support a Krond or Artemis formation. And that could make, even trying to use them, it could make them a lot more difficult and not as good. So, Rough Rider, do you have to do all the Lesson in Classic patron versions again? No. No, they just went in and just marked this one undone. Although if they did, that'd be kind of be fantastic. I wouldn't mind doing them again, but this is just this should just be this one. This should just be this one. JM Corp, can you start with a multi-class speed champion and then pull him out and get your class use back? Absolutely. Absolutely. I could remove, if I wanted, I could remove, who are we looking at? Rogue Bard. I could remove, Shandy as my rogue and trade them for Human. I'm not sure that, that's tough. But yeah, I could do it. I could have also left Briv in and just bounced. We could have bounced. But again, I want to collect. I'm kind of letting the Nova collection thing go. But yeah, you can always swap things around. It isn't that, oh, once you've put somebody in, they're in forever. This isn't split the party. This isn't bully for you. This is a lesson in classes. You can swap in and out as much as you want. Maybe that's something I'll do it for a future variant. But yeah, you can always adjust your formation. That's literally why I just threw these in and said, yeah, this kind of looks okay. Let's see what happens. Remember earlier I was talking about getting to soft cap, where leveling up your champions doesn't matter anymore. Well, I'm there already. I have a lot of favor, but most people would do this between, even if you didn't have a lot of favor, you would soft cap between areas 400 and 500 in most cases. If you've got enough power to be here, or if you've got enough favor to be here, you probably by this point will soft cap in the 400 to 500 range. If you ramp up a bunch of favor earlier, then you'll just soft cap earlier. But again, I don't have to level. I mean, I can over level my DPS if I want. It'll get me more damage, but at the moment I'm cruising along fine, so I'm not going to worry about it. Can Ravip, which Denarin Baloth spec did you choose? Well, Baloth is always the right-hand spec. Show must go on? What's it called? No. Yeah, the show must go on. So that's his right-hand spec. This is the one that basically boosts the Jin stacks. That is another thing I'm going to keep in my pocket, is if I need a little extra power, a little more oomph as I get towards the end. This is why I wanted Baloth in my formation. I can Jin stack. Najim can come out and I can stack up. I can kill off my entire formation and give me another E10 of power with the show must go on. Denarin went for the single target. Oh yeah. So I don't think I'm going to have I don't think I'm going to need AoE crowd control, which is the right hand spec. If anything, I'm just going to want potential maximum effect on this. It's not really going to matter too much on the bosses, but I figured why not? Why not? I really don't. The AoE really isn't going to do anything for me here. I think Shandy's in her speed form. So again, I may have to change her spec when we get somewhere. Everybody else should be in their optimal specializations. D. Margera, which champion is the fastest? In what way? Like, are we lining them up for a 50-yard dash? I don't know what their movement speeds are. Are we talking about speed champions? Like, which speed champion contributes the most? Well, I mean, I think arguably that would be Briv, but it would require a lot of item levels. Just because he can jump numerous levels at once. I don't really know the context of that question. If you can't tell, we're doing just some generic questions while this goes on in the background. And that's actually, honestly, the next hour, folks, if you have questions, we're going to be answering questions. Let me go back to the top. Safety Goth. How do I get more than 10 stacks of Kroll's Pilfer for Azaka farming? I seem to be stuck at 10. So Kroll has an ability called Virulent Strain, which is what would allow you to get more than 10 stacks, and what it's actually doing is it's allowing you to have more than one instance of a plague on an enemy. And those instances can each go up to 10 stacks, and you can only have a max of 4 instances, so you could get to a max of what reads as 40 stacks. It requires Virulent Strain to proc. Virulent Strain is an ability that triggers, potentially, there's a small chance for it to trigger when you kill an enemy that has a plague on it. There's a low % chance that plague will transfer to another enemy as a new instance and thus stack up higher. There are feats for that. Those are the only feats really that you care about for Kroll. If you can get both of the Virulent Strain feats, one is a default that you start with. You should have that in at all times. But then another comes out of gold chests. That's just going to be luck on when you can get it. But that's going to get you up to like a 30% chance, I believe. Yeah, I think you start at 10%. So you'll very rarely will you see, with no Virulent Strain feats in, very rarely will you see anything over 10 stacks. When you put the 50% feat in, it'll go up to 15%. And then, you might see 20 a little more often as you clear waves. But 30 or 40 still aren't going to show up a lot. And then once you get the 100% feat to go along with it, that doubles it up to 30%. And then you can manipulate large stacks. I've done that. I've demonstrated that on stream before. If you look for VODs that have to do with Azaka, you might find it there. Brutilicus, can you provide guidance for my first potion of polish? Considering Briv, Krull, and Human. Oof. I mean, I think all 3 of those are fine targets. For Briv, you're going to want to target his slot 4. That's his speed item, his speed slot. The same for Human, if you're going to go there. For Krull, if you're a newer player, and even if you're not, I would still target slot 2. That's the Plague Pilfer. That's the gold find. I know pain is nice and everything, but it's gonna get more of its bonus. Pain is gonna get more of its bonus from the multiplicative nature of Virulent Strain. If you want to get anything, it's usually just give me more gold. Give me a lot more gold. So depending on kind of where you are in your journey, if you're trying to get into speed runs, you probably want to target Briv or Human. Slot 4s. But if you're still early on and you're still, you're not reaching this soft cap often, and you're having trouble pushing for favor and getting all your blessings, Krull's Pilfer could be a nice target. Conk, do you know how much Mert influence you need to fully unlock Silvery Gates? I do not. I mean, the only way I would be able to do, I technically could reset, but I mean, here's the thing. I can tell you this: to get everything, it's 9.51 EO8 influence. That's what I can tell you. Now, that doesn't mean that you could get away with less, because that includes money lint. If you just went full right-hand spec, that includes money lint, and you could probably shave off some levels here. But 9.51 EO8 is what you're shooting for to get everything in Mert and not have to worry about it, right? Vajra's 154 EO9, Strahd's 247 EO9, and Zariel's 408 EO9. It's almost like you need more influence for each one. Oh, wow, look at that. Would you look at that? Valdemar Night Road. Are there any other Twilight Twist-like variants for people like Dahani? Relentless Peril exists in Baldur's Gate Descent into Avernus. There's a number of them. I don't know what that number is or what all their names are. There's some that come up in events. Certain champions have them as part of their event variants. But there's also some, that are just basic variants off of stuff in the campaigns. I didn't really track them too much because early on we really just cared about Zorbo stuff, and then later on we got like Gaarawarr, where you want to stack stuff up, and by that point I'd completed them all, so my brain doesn't remember them all. Flimity Flamity, how deep should a new player try to push in time gate free plays? It's not the answer you want. So the thing about time gate free plays is, they serve two purposes. One, it's to get you a little more favor so you can complete the variants if for some reason you didn't use the first two adventures as favor runs. So you can complete that variant that it gives you. You can also, obviously there's also a favor conversion, but that I'm still on the fence about. The favor converts out of events at 4 times the rate as it does out of time gates, so I tend to not waste my time pushing too deep in a time gate. The other thing you get out of pushing in a free play in a time gate is silver chests. Every unique 100 areas, you can get a silver chest. That may not be worth it for you. It's a silver chest. It's not a huge motivator, but it is nice. So the way I tend to recommend this to people is just to grab what I call the low-hanging fruit. So if it's very easy for you to throw like a speed potion, maybe a giant strength potion down, race through like 300 levels, knock out the adventures in the variant. I mean, if that's fine. You'd get 3 gold chests. You'd get 3 silver chests. If you have that Mert perk we were talking about, you might get more silver chests. But you don't necessarily have to push deep to try to maximize a time gate in terms of favor. And if it's super difficult for you to push to the next threshold of 100 areas, like if you can go through 300 easy, but you start to slow down in the 360s, and getting to 400 is like, you might have to run 3 or 4 runs to get there. That's not worth it for a silver chest, in my opinion. So, enter in, substitute your own area goals here for wherever you're pushing, but I don't know that it's super important in a time gate. I find it much more valuable to use your resources, both time and potions, pushing in events. The multiplier, again, 4 times as large as the multiplier you get in time gates, so keep that in mind. Wolfson, is Ashara better with both bonds versus a full group of potpourri? Oh, both bonds, yeah. You want a double bond. You want to hit 4/4. If you can go, a little over on one or the other, that's fine. But you definitely want to trigger 2 separate bonds. Bonds, Ashara bonds. G squared. Do we know if Veronica completes Black Dice Society? We don't. We just know they're the next one up. I don't know if they've made any statements on what is considered a full group there. We have a few groups that are in the game that potentially could have more champions, but we don't know if all of their content creators are like, yeah, I want my characters in the game, because I mean, it's totally okay for a content creator to be like, nah, I'm not into that, even if they're a part of a group that wants to be in the game. It just may not happen. We don't know. It's not. I don't know that that's something that they would really talk about publicly either. So who knows? Zelos, is Human good in an Ashara formation? I've been using them because they help her reach her 4th bond, but they're always the only human in the formation, so I'm not really getting a bonus from that. Or am I using them wrong? You don't. I mean, are they optimal? No, but if they could be helping you push, triggering the fourth bond could be a big deal. If that's the only way you can get your bonds to trigger, okay. You really have to. Yeah, you really just kind of have to experiment and see. I would probably look for. I'd probably look to pick up somebody to swap in their place from a time gate at some point in the future, because I don't know that that's necessarily the best situation. But I've used them that way, and if you can complete your content that you're trying to do, that's fine. And keep in mind, folks, this game, as much as there is a segment of the population that treats this game as all that matters is getting the furthest possible. That's not the gameplay design. The gameplay design is complete this content to these area levels. If you can do that with whatever enjoyable composition you want to make, you don't have to play to the meta. You just have to complete the content and enjoy yourself. The Lurking Writer, for lessening classes, do you have a recommended average item level for the champions in order to reach the area goal? No. That's super crunchy. No, not really. I mean, you just have to try it. You just have to try it. When you get there, you just have to try it. You have to try it, and you have to play with your formation and see what you can get. I used to do... we'll get back to this, but I used to do, on my channel... I would stream idle chatters. I mean, I still do that, but I would do patron editions, and the whole point was to show going through high-end patron variants, and not always succeeding. And when I didn't succeed, I had a little notepad up, and I would make notes, and I would put the patron, the name of the variant, what level I got to, and I would make a note about what I thought was holding me back. Sometimes it's, hey, I just don't have enough champions that qualify for this. Sometimes it's, well, we just need a bit more damage. Sometimes it's like, I could really use a healer, for whatever reason, right? Like whatever the note is, like thinking about it critically and figuring out what do I actually need. And then finding a way to get that, it was the goal. Now that might mean pumping item levels up on a character. That might be a thing. But usually that's incremental increases, very small incremental increases on item levels. Bigger things are maybe getting your Modron core leveled up further, or getting it full epic, or if you've got the pipes for it, supercharging it, right? That's a thing now. I still haven't done. Getting more patron perks. Like, there could be other ways to get power easier and in larger amounts than item levels. So it's just one of those things you're just going to have to try it, see where you end up. And, if you've got a lot of champions that are in your lessening classes run that are the formation that pushes the furthest, but maybe they've got blues instead of epics, maybe you start hunting epics, right? Along that way, you will get some extra item levels. Peter D. Pan, talking about specializations, what's your preferred spec for Nova and why? Generally speaking, you go mass appeal. But mass appeal. The reason is having, it's a counting thing. That's why I went to count. If Discovery had already applied to everybody in the formation, here goes my voice again. If Discovery had already applied to everyone in the formation, I would have gone with her right spec. But because it didn't, I went with the left. I increased the number of people that it apply to. Why do I do that? Well, down here, we have the Erois Synergy. It's because of this ability. Nova contributes to the pool 60% per champion buffed by Discovery. So and it's multiplicative. So adding multiplicative increases, I had 5. I added 3 multiplicative increases to the bonus that's going in this pool. That's a big deal. So getting that number, getting the number of champions affected by Discovery to be as large as possible is kind of the goal. If you're already at 8, just by default before you get to specializations, then you just go with the right one and you double the effect. But if you're not at 8, you want to get that. You want to get those multipliers. You want to get those multipliers. It isn't something you necessarily build your formation around, but because you can just choose that spec. But you just want to make sure that Discovery is targeting your. That's one reason to go left spec, is to make sure Discovery is actually hitting your DPS, but then also to get as many possible champions buffed by Discovery for the synergy ability. And the fact that I have both Nova and Ayla in here, they're both contributing to that synergy ability and helping both of them do even more work, and which is great because they're both real strong champions. Freddy JS, how do free time gates work? I think is what we're going for here. Do you get gold chests for the champions? Yes. And folks, if you were hanging out yesterday, I was like, I don't even know if I'll do my time gate this weekend, but I did. Good for me. But when you pick a time gate for a champion, it comes up, what do you want? Level requirements, the first 2, blah, blah, blah. The whole thing you're getting out of a time gate is if you haven't done the champion, if you haven't unlocked the champion, you're going to get the champion. But you're also going to get up to 3 gold chests. The first 2 regular adventures give a gold chest, and then it's going to give you one of the variants from their event. And you're going to get a gold chest for that. Based off how far you push, as we were talking earlier, you might get some silvers, but that's usually just, that's extra. But the key is you get up to 3 gold chests per time gate. Each time you do the time gate. So you do a time gate, you complete it, you come back, you do that time gate again, 3 more gold chests. This is one of the ways you get better gear for your event champions. Or time gate champions, is by doing time gates for them. The other way is opening patron chests. This is how you get to full epic on those champions. Long-term goal. But early on in your career in Idle Champions, the bigger goal is over gear is just unlocking champions so that you have more options. You'll Dice Goblin, can you optimize and recure a stack farm in a lesson in classes? I don't know. We might find out. Artemis is a rogue. You wouldn't get... It wouldn't be perfect. It definitely wouldn't be perfect. But what we need is we need Orkira, we need Artemis, and we need Archon at minimum. And we get those 3 because Artemis is a rogue, Archon's a paladin, and Orkira's a cleric. So you hit the 3 main primary players, and then you have to throw in as many extras as possible. Alcoria is a wizard. Narak is a monk. We're doing good so far. Then you just got to find some DPS that are magic casting DPS that aren't the exact same class. That's probably where it's going to get a little more limited. But it feels like you could do it, at least in the base version, as you get to the patron variants. Probably not. At least not the way that you want. You'll be able to increase it a little bit, not as much as you'd like. Yet another reason why you're going to want power from other places. I kind of refer to it as account power. So things like blessings, perks, your Modron core. I consider these account power because it's power that's separate from favor to a certain degree, but it caps really early. It's separate from the champions themselves. So champion power is the gear rarity, item level, gilding, legendaries, right? Feats. So there's 2 different types of ways you can achieve power, and you just have to know that there's a lot of different types of account power, and you need to maximize all of those levers to really do your best. Safety Goth, is there a smarter way to get Briv's achievement other than just leaving him in the active formation overnight, if that would even work? Yes. I have a GIF of this. Oh, do I? I mean, we've got time. I can do this live. Hold on. Yes, there is. You can build a Briv achievement formation, and you can knock out that achievement in 30 minutes or less once it's set up. It may take a little fiddling to get it set up, so, you know, set aside an hour, but you can rock it real fast. It does, like, to do it the fastest, it requires one of his variants. It requires you not having done one of his variants or getting it again in a time gate. I have this GIF and explanation in my guide to Briv on the subreddit, which I will link here in a moment. Let me... Oh, it's not going to let me save this. Okay. Here's what I'm going to do. Here's what I'm going to do. Can I... We're doing it live, folks. We're doing it live. Show me the money. Where is my studio mode? There it is. Let me set this up in studio mode so you don't all see me fiddling. Hopefully it works. Browser. Okay. Hey, it works. Okay. Is that the ideal situation? Probably not. Probably not. Is not showing as the right size. Hold on, folks. There we go. There we go. All right, let me get this somewhat shrunk down to fit in the window. Somewhat. A little bit. Kind of. Okay. We are going to switch live to my camera of doing this doing this in a Briv formation. Boom. Say hello to Briv in the Nerves of Steel variant. The Nerves of Steel variant. So, this is how I did this. Can I change? I can. Oh, fantastic. This is how I did this. Frankly, because I got super frustrated because I got almost to the number that you need for Briv's achievement, and then I respec'd him for some reason. I can't remember why. And as it turns out, respecking resets your stat count. And I got real mad. And I sent a strongly worded letter to Sean via the support thing. And I believe by strongly worded, I mean it's probably one of the most strongly worded letters I've said. And the strongly worded portion was respectfully, what the heck? Because I was real upset. That's me getting real upset to support. That's as upset as I get to support because they're human beings and they don't need you yelling at them. So what's going on here? So then I went back and I'm like, well, there's got to be a better way to do this. So here's the thing. On Nerves of Steel, enemies move faster and attack faster. Well, that means they're going to help you stack this up quicker. And I believe it's 3 times faster, maybe. So if you're doing this anywhere other than Nerves of Steel, just know it's going to take 3 times as long. Which isn't that bad if it's less than 30 minutes to get this done, right? An hour and a half is what you're looking at. So what's going on here? I found a ranged level because they start stacking quicker. And then they just, I don't know. It's just nice. It's just easier. I can see it. I can tell if Briv's going to live or die, and I can adjust my formation. Because if it's melee, you can't see the health. So I did this for the easy thing. I have Gromma in, Sentry in, Evelyn in, and Dragonbait in for health share. That's why they're there. They're basically giving Briv as much health as possible so that he can survive the 10 hits that these enemies are doing. Because remember, Briv heals every 10 hits or 10 seconds. Well, we're getting 10 hits easily here. So he has to survive that burst damage, and then he can heal himself. But just in case, I also have Tyrell in Moonbeam next to him, radiating out some heals, and I have Dinar in the back throwing some heals. The key here is to make sure, if you have all of these champions, there's 2 key specializations here, and it's for Briv and for Gromma. Briv you want in Go With The Flow. That's the bigger heal, because we just need to stay alive. And Gromma you do not want in Arctic. She can be in either of her other specs. I actually think I had her in Arctic, and it slowed me down because when in Arctic she slows down attack speeds. So put her in Mountain or Swamp. Swamp is a thing that exists. But with this setup, your Briv should stay alive. I did this at a very high level just because I'd had my characters maxed out. This was the only place I wasn't killing off enemies, because I don't want them killed off. I want to just sit here forever. And let it build up. Nerves of Steel is a Briv Timegate variant at this point, yeah. But it's one of his event variants. So, but yeah, you don't have to do it in Nerves of Steel. You just need to find an adventure that has all ranged enemies. Again, it's just going to take a little bit longer, but it's the same premise. You don't have to use these tanks either. You want a lot of tanks for their health share. So if you're throwing you could throw Nieli in, just make sure she's in Devotion for the health share. You just want a bunch of health share. And then once it's set up, the speed potion, epic speed potion, I had going because I was doing a deep run for some reason. I don't know. The epic health potion, that might be fine too. None of the other potions really mattered. I don't even know if I needed any of those potions, but the speed ones I had extras, and it's like, why not make this go super fast? And I did. So I did this in less than 30 minutes, and if I'd used full speed potions, it would have gone even faster. So let me hide this. Go away. Yeah, that's how you do that, and you can find that here in my guide to Briv. It's all the way down under the achievement. There's a link to that GIF. All right, folks, we're up to 6:31 in a lesson in classes. For those of you joining late, you're going to want to watch the VOD. I explained why I put these champions in the formation. I also explained, more importantly, that I don't know if this is going to complete this. I just threw them in, and we're going to try it, and we'll see what happens. That's just kind of how I do variants. I don't know when I start a variant that I'm going to finish with the champions that I started with. But I'm going to push as far as I can. I'm going to make changes as necessary, right? Got a couple things in my back pocket. We could attempt an Orkira stack for a little more damage. We could attempt Jin stacking for a little more damage. I can swap my Modron core. I could switch to, I could potentially try a Kron formation. I could potentially try an Artemis formation. This is just where I started out. Yeah. That's kind of how I recommend doing variants, is start out with a formation, see how far it gets you, and then make changes from there. All right, back to questions. Skewin. Do feats that apply stats only work if they're active? Yes. Feats in general, all feats, only apply, A, if you've slotted the feats as active feats, and B, if that champion is in the formation for power stuff. For stat ones, the stat ones will apply instantly on the bench, but only in the sense that it will then allow you to place them in the formation, right? So if you are trying to do a patron variant, and you have a champion that has a +1 stat feat, and if that stat feat is equipped, they would qualify. You equip that, it'll show them as marked, you can't use this champion, and then you slot that feat for the stat, and then now you can use that champion for that patron. But just remember, any of the power feats only work when they're in the actual formation. But anything that affects their ability to go into a formation works from the bench. JVC Aguiar, can you reset your patron influence to see how much Murd influence is necessary to max silver gates? I could, but again, I mean, it's really close to. It's going to be really close to 951 EO8. It's going to be really close to 951 EO8. We're getting close to the end here, and I don't want to artificially stop the run by dumping all of that, but maybe I'll try that if I remember after we complete a lesson in classes. Team Margero, who has the best base attack cooldown? To work with Whittles only as slow as the fastest link. Oh, that's not really how you want to look at that. It's not really how you want to look at that. Primarily because attacking faster doesn't, like, as a DPS, doesn't really mean anything. Attacking faster is more important for debuff spreaders. And as long as they're going faster, that's great. You wouldn't necessarily nerf a formation just by putting the lowest attack speed person you could in to do that. But usually you're better off bringing in a champion that's strong but also reduces attack speed. Like Human in the right position can reduce a champion's attack speed. There's a couple champions that can do that. And then you make sure they're then next to Whittle, and then that effect spreads to everyone, right? Also, if you haven't seen this interaction yet, if you pair Whittle with Alindra, both members of Heroes of the Plains, the portented champions, Alindra's portented champions, will attack on animation cooldown. They'll ignore attack speed completely, and just every time the attack animation is done, they'll attack again. That is truly the way to optimize that the best. If you just want to see what the fastest potential attack for every champion in the game is, that's the way to do it. And that's Whittle and Alindra combined with your whatever champion you want to attack fast as the portented champion. JVC Aguiar, what's the max area you can reach in an event time gate free play in your first attempt? Oh, like me personally? I don't know that I've tried to do that in a very long time. I mean, part of it's gonna depend on the boss, the area 50 boss. I'd say it's gonna be over 1,000 because I'm gonna soft cap pretty early. I'm gonna soft cap just fine because I've got the power to push all the way to soft cap. And I have lots of account power, so I should be able to I can push arguably most of the way I would normally be able to push, whether it was a first run or not. So it's going to be over 1,000. I mean, I can push super far up into the 1,300s. That does require a little bit of a favor bonus. So that's not a favor thing, but yeah, it's going to be over 1,000. But I don't know what it is because I don't do that anymore. Once upon a time, I used to just, on a zero favor run, I used to just push as far as I could. And now I've realized that's suboptimal for pushing. You're spending a lot of time pushing with zero favor when at low favor amounts and leveling up, and it's a slow crawl in most situations. Whereas if I just do like 15 minutes of speed potions, I can probably get 300 or 400 levels, grab a bunch of gold, and thus favor, reset, and be able to just smoke everything much faster. So time-wise, I just don't. I aim to be a little more efficient nowadays. I don't do power checks like that. I can say once I'm getting into the E60s for event conversions, and I'm happy. I'm happy if I'm in the E50 or E60 range for favor in events. But I can get over 1,000 with no favor usually. Ellie, is leveling click damage even worth the gold? Yes and no. Yes and no. There's a rule for that. The rule for that is down here on the left. We see click damage, and it says level 1. Level 1, right? Well, the level of your click damage is roughly comparable to the area that you can click to with it. So when you're at level 1 click damage, you can click kill stuff on area 1. Area 2 is going to be a little rough, right? And this translates. Getting it up to level 100 means you're going to be able to click just fine through area 100. It's going to start slowing down after that. There are other things that can change that. Like there are things in the game, like in your Modron cores, that reduce the health of enemies, that are going to let you click kill further. But in general, the rule of thumb is you'll be able to click as far as you've leveled it up. So as you're leveling it up, if it starts to get expensive and you're not able to keep the areas matching, kind of from that point on, where the area you're on is higher than you can level up your click damage immediately. At that point, that's when you can start transitioning away and spending more gold on your champions, and then just ignore your click damage. That's generally the rule of thumb for early game click damage use. Now, this game, the only one true unbreakable rule in Idle Champions, the one thing that, well, not unbreakable, but just they're the only one true rule, the one true law of Idle Champions is there's an exception to every rule, including that one. There is an end game form of click damage that you can use to push at the deep end, like where I am at 700 plus. I could switch over to, I can switch over here. I can mass level click damage, and even though the level is 577, there's a way I can manipulate the amount of damage that enemies take via debuffs. I could switch in on a normal run. I could switch in just a full debuff team that would have a very low bud, but would be debuffing enemies immensely, and I would be able to click kill my way forward to 1,000, to 1,100, 1,200, 1,300. This is a thing people do. It requires having a lot of favor. Like, yeah, I think in the E30 range, you might be able to get by in the E20s if you had the most powerful debuff champions, but it is a very slow method of progress in multiple ways. It requires the building up of debuffs on every level, but it also can really hurt your frames per second. I've tried to show it off on stream, and invariably, and when I'm not streaming, it's okay. But when I do it on stream, my FPS goes from 60 to 6, and usually the game crashes. It's just, the game was not meant to be played that way. So just know there is a high level version. There is a high level click damage play style, I guess you could call it. But it wasn't intended. The intended functionality is you can click roughly as far as you can level up your click damage. The game is a formation strategy management game. You're meant to do the damage with the champions. It's just kind of an interesting workaround some people have discovered. It is actually very useful in one variant in the game. There's a variant called the Tale of Two Champions. In that variant, you don't want to try to push as far as you can with actual champions. You want to spend the first start of that variant with gold find champions to earn as much gold as possible, and then the second half of that variant with your two strongest debuff champions, and just click kill your way through everything. That's actually, it was after that variant came out that this playstyle started becoming a big deal, even though a prominent member of the community had pointed out that was a thing like a year or more in advance. Oh, my captions broke. Hold on. Fixed. All right, folks, we're coming in. We got 2 levels. Holy cow! It looks like this is going to work. I want to be very clear. Just because this formation worked for me does not mean it's going to work for you. Again, I have some pretty solid item levels across my champions. My minimum item level, average item level for any champion is 140. For any champion. There we go. I also have full epic Modron core. I also have lots of... these champions have legendary items. I've got all the perks, right? Like, so this formation may not work for you, but hopefully the thought process I put in at the beginning does help you out. Here's what I want to do, though. I want to take a look at, could I build... Gaarawarr's got too much power for us to easily replicate. I mean, I'm not... Here's the thing. I don't even have a super powerful account. There are people that look at my numbers and laugh. But I can get a lot done. All right, let's talk about... I think people were like, hey, could we... well, we kind of can't do that yet. But could we Blueshy... Spurt... Desmond... Croned this situation. We can obviously put all of these champions in. But what we really want to know is... Wait, 1, 2, 3. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's actually, this is the better situation. Well, it doesn't matter. Both of those are fine. Who else is available for a Croned formation? I mean, we would want, like... She's not strong. Dragonbait, kind of. No, well, does he have another... I think we need 16. Dragonbait doesn't quite cut it. We would do Ayla. We would want to do Ayla, and we can't. We would want a Torragar. We would want Ayla, but we can't bring Ayla in. Makos is evil. Can't Makos. Because Blueshy's a Warlock. Can we Beetle and Grim? Not with that setup. But if we bring them out and then tag team, we potentially could. We'll let that set up. We have Caddy Bree, can't go in because she's a fighter, and we have Desmond in as a fighter. Normally I would like Caddy Bree with her feet in there. Do we have... Okay, we could Briv as a Paladin, but then we'd be Blueshy supporting, which isn't the worst thing in the world, but it's definitely not the best. And we can't bring Brunner. So I don't know that there's a great Croned formation here. There, yeah, see? Okay, so we can Beetle and Grim. I don't know that there's the greatest Croned formation here, but you could probably attempt a Croned formation. I'm not gonna try the Artemis one. But I don't know what kind of damage this would do, because we would have wanted Blueshy in from the beginning to actually stack stuff up. Oh, Sasaspia can go in, yeah. We're fighting for adjacencies in this situation, which isn't ideal, but sure. We could figure it out. We could always put Spurt within 2 or something. Try Caddy now. Beetle was blocking her? No. It's still... I mean... It's, we have Desmond who's blocking. No, Desmond... Yeah, Desmond's the ranger. Desmond's blocking... No, fighter. It's Krond. Krond is fighting her. We got there eventually. So yeah, lesson classes doesn't necessarily support the greatest Krond group, but it could be functional. I think Artemis is probably going to be the same. You're probably not going to make the greatest group, but you might be able to make a functional group. I did not save that other one. Or Kira stacking. Let me just... okay, go away. Go away. I mean, so Orkira stacking is a... oh, he's already out there. Is potentially a thing. I would need to rearrange this, clearly. No, I would want more like that, maybe. Yeah, and I would need to find one more. I can't get everybody in here. I mean, you know, we could probably find a way to make... there. I mean, that's... we're at least getting something. I don't know if we're getting enough for Alcoria. I need one more magic caster. Can't be her. So I'd have to find one more magic caster to make Alcoria work. Who is not actually in? Makos is not in. That isn't. No, because Warlock's already out there, right? Yeah. Ashara can't go in because Wizard. Dungeon Master. Well, Dungeon Master can't. He qualifies for here, but he can't actually go in because he would be breaking the rules. Baylock's already. Yeah, no, not because Wizard Sorcerer. Yeah, so things get a little difficult trying to get this last magic attack. Paladin? No, already got a Paladin out. Womp womp. Womp womp. Maybe there's a different... there might be a different fiddly way to get this to work, but I'm not going to spend too much time on it. So yeah, I mean, you can get it. We could get a decent optimization here. It's not the greatest for trying to maximize Orkira's healing. You can get a little more out of it, but you're not going to get a truly optimal Orkira stacking situation on a lesson in classes. Anything else? I mean, there's an Artemis formation here, but that wouldn't. I don't think that would pull in. Yeah. Oh, what we were going to do? We were going to come over here. People want to know how to get silvery gates. I don't know why. I don't really find this a super powerful thing, but I'm going to reset this because you asked. I'm going to try to do this. I'm not going to spend efficiently from the outset, but once we get a couple in, I'm going to spend efficiently. Guess we'll demonstrate what that means. So we're shooting down, we're trying to shoot down the global side and maximize, oh, I don't have to click anymore, that's right. And try to maximize what we're doing here. So the way we do that is you just try to put it in and then you see, how far down can I get without putting anything on the left? Well, nope, now I got to purchase 60 more. Yeah, so we got a bit of a jump there, but now... can I get the rest of the way? Nope, I need 50 more. All right. I can attempt to do this a little more efficiently. I'm looking at the costs here. I'm going to bounce kind of around with the costs. It'll probably end up maxing this one out, but I don't want to just take that for granted. If you're really hurting on influence, you want to just kind of take this one at a time and try to make sure you're getting the most efficient spend out of what you have, because what we're trying to do is just we need 23 more. Yeah, I think this is just, I'm just going to end this. All right. There. Now I would put everything over here. 8.2 EO8. So if you want to max out silvery gates, but not everything, 8.2 EO8. Yeah. So that's what you're looking at to max out Silvery Gates. I really, if that's a thing, if you want more silvers, that's a way to do it. I actually think they need to rearrange their blessings. I think that blessing needs to go at a lower tier to be valuable to people. All right, folks, I'm going to go ahead and complete this. We have completed a lesson in classes. That was our goal today. Yay, stars in chat. I don't have the add-on to make the stars show up on screen, but that's it. And if I go to... Oh, no. Okay, that's up here. I was like, no, it better not have. Yeah, okay. So I now have it completed. I've now unlocked Xeraphon, which I did already. Yay! Yay! So the rest of the chat is just going to be chat. Questions. Let me get back to the questions. Narcs. To gain more favors, is it better to push further with power based specializations or go for gold find specializations because gold equals favor? It depends. So on this one, I was talking about getting a champions to a soft cap, which was, if you looked at the thing, it was a little circle with a line through it. If you're getting there, then you don't necessarily need the favor like the gold find options. But if you are early on in your journeys, you're only getting, 50, 100, 200 levels in, choosing the gold find specializations for someone like Jarlaxle is going to translate into more upgrades, which is far more power than that double damage specialization would be. The same for Krull's Pilfer spec. That's going to be the better option. The same for Paulton's Lucky, or whatever it is that increases gold find. So yeah, so for some of those that have a solid gold find gain, that's potentially going to end up equate to more power to push with because you're getting more upgrades. Once you get to the point where you can't upgrade further, you need to then pick the other options. So just know it kind of depends on where you're at in your progress. Silly Simon. So I keep hearing about Jimothy. Reddit guide made my simple head hurt. Have you got a Gaarawarr guide to this non-champ technique? No. It's, do I know what it is and how to do it? Yes. Have I ever done it? No. Will I ever do it? No. Play the game however you want, but it is a... I'm not going to go into it except to say you can find information on it in other places. It completely and utterly avoids the whole point of this game. These are the people that just, if you are the type of person that just wants to go the furthest possible distance in Idle Champions and you don't care about actually building formations to push through variants, that's probably a thing for you. I'm still waiting for them to patch that out of the game completely. It would literally just take a change to gym and a minor change to gym and it would be gone, but oh well. ER613, how do I get speed potions as a new player? Buy chests with your gems and then open those chests. That's it. It's super straightforward. Let me hop into, no, I'll go to, do I want to, I'll do a regular gem farm for people in the background. I don't know, that's probably fine. Here, regular gem farm team. So you earn gems as you go along. I've got over 1 million. As you earn gems, normally I don't need to, but as you would earn gems, normally you would want to come over here to the gem item shop. If you're brand new to the game, you would buy silver chests, but once you have at least green or better gear, you just start buying lots of gold chests. There's a slider here, so you can buy up to 100 at a time. You should be spending your gems as you earn them on gold chests primarily, occasionally dropping some gems on a familiar, but those gold chests are going to get you all these potions. Gold chests are going to drop the higher end potions, the smalls, come out of silvers and electrums, and you get electrums just by entering in the chest codes, like the one here. Oh, did I do today's chest code? I didn't even think I did. I was real proud of today's chest code, folks. This is the fun I have as a streamer. There will be a test. So you get an electrum chest from doing that. And that's going to get you the smaller potions. But I definitely recommend buying lots of gold chests. They're not only going to get you potions, but they're going to get you bounty contracts and blacksmithing contracts. Those are big deals too. Biohazard. I like that. That's good. Doing the time gate. Is it a good use of time to do the free play after you've completed the other parts? Not really. I think I kind of touched on that earlier. If you can easily get to another threshold of like, if you went to 175 and you think you could get to 200 in a time gate, do it. Grab an extra silver chest and then bounce. But the main part of a time gate is grabbing the champion and those 3 chests, those 3 gold chests, and then go do something else with your time. In my opinion, you do you. None owner. There's certain champions who are better to get legendary gear on first. Maybe. Or does it not matter as long as you use a champion quite regularly? It's a little bit of both. When you first start placing legendaries, again, this is part of Trials of Mount Tiamat. You go do Trials of Mount Tiamat, you earn scales, you come over to the Legendary Forge, and you turn those scales into a legendary item. Each champion has a set of 6 legendary effects that they could potentially apply to an item. So what you're looking at is who do you use a lot? Hopefully in multiple different formations, like I demonstrated a Zorbo formation. If there are champions in that formation that I also use in Ashara, that I also use in Krond, that I also use in Artemis, well, then that makes them a target, in my opinion, for a legendary, because they're going to be usable in a multitude of formations. And thus, that investment of power is going to be available when I need it, right? More often than not. So you would target those types of champions first. I think when I first started getting legendaries, I put one. I started off with like probably Ayla or some support champion that I knew I could use with everyone. And then I started making sure I had one on all of those champions in those formations. I think I was building around an Ashara formation, so I had one on everybody, and then I went to 2 on everybody, and now I'm putting 1 on everyone in... Oh, then I've just finished putting 1 on everyone in Krond and Artemis groups, for the most part, that I use between those, and now I'm trying to get 2 on all of those, right? So I was kind of spreading mine out thinly, a thin layer of legendary power, because... that means when I do variants or if I get restricted in trials, if I've gone 6 legendaries on one champion and then I can't use that champion, well, that sucks, right? So I like to spread them around. So I'm not saying, as somebody said, that means do Ayla first. Well, maybe. Again, Ayla is currently the strongest support buffer in the game and has been since he was put in the game. That doesn't mean he's always going to be that way. I think that's very important for people to understand is at some point they could nerf a champion that you like. So, don't put all of your eggs in one basket. Zelos, I'm sorry, I'm struggling to find any updated Ashara formation guides. Any chance you have, I don't make formation guides. As I kind of explained on this stream at the beginning, is I try to build my formation around what I have available. And the champions I have available aren't exactly the champions you have available. They also might not have the gear, especially legendary gear that you have. So what I can do with my formations doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be able to have that same success. So what I try to educate people on is building your own formation. I have a guide for that, Formation Strategy 101 on the subreddit. on my guide, on my wiki page, on the subreddit. And it's more, it's like that whole teach someone how to fish instead of give someone a fish type of mentality. Yeah. So I don't make guides. I do have recommended formations, like starter formations for brand new players in my event guides, but that's literally using core champions. Ashara doesn't work well in that setup anymore. Ashara, the thing I can tell you about how to build around Ashara is you need to match. If you're making her your DPS, you need to pick Potpourri as your first specialization, and you need 4 champions that match, that qualify for Potpourri, including her. So her and 3 others. And then when you get to the second bond, you're going to need 4 champions that match one of those bonds. Whichever one. I find it easiest now to go half and half. But I used to go short folk. It really depends on what champions you have already. If you're going to target, if you don't have a lot of champions for the second specialization, and you want to pick them up, I would try to target the half and half specialization. It has currently the strongest meta champions. But yeah, that's kind of just Ashara in a nutshell, is you just need to match her bonds. So you need to 4 have to match Potpourri, 4 have to match something on the second one. Again, I recommend half and half as the best option currently. Timnos, I missed the beginning. Can you start over? No, that's not what Timnos asked. Did support reset the variant for you so you could redo it? Yeah, Sean did. Sean reset this one, and spoiler alert, Sean reset Bully for You for me. If along with a lesson in classes has been giving you trouble, hopefully this was helpful. If Bully for You, the blue sheet unlock variant, has been giving you trouble, know that in a few weeks in the future time, I will be doing that as well. Hopefully these are helpful. In the past, we tried to mash a bunch of variants together, but I felt like if we just did this as a just one variant at a time, it might be more helpful for people. Not only to reference the VOD on the YouTube, but also just to be a little more focused on one thing. Hopefully this has helped. Lancer Echo, what does the complete adventure button actually do? So that's this swippy swappy button up here. When you hit it, it completes the adventure. So what does that mean? It means you end your current run. You collect whatever favor you've got to that point, which are these numbers here. It's this one on the left. Hopefully you've met the area requirements. If not, then you'll have to do it again. And try to get there to mark it off as completed. But yeah, that's it. It ends everything and it resets you. It takes you back to the map screen, right? So if I click this, boom, I'm done. I mean, this is part of the core loop, is you want to push as far as you can, maybe farm a little gold, complete the adventure, start again. It's going to give you some stats, but then it takes me back to the map screen and then I start over. Right? If I want to go do that exact same thing, exact run again, because maybe I didn't complete it, or maybe I'm just farming gems, which is what I was doing here, I can start over again. Now, this confuses some people when they're newer, because, normally you just want to just sit and farm a lot of favor and then move one level. And even if it takes a day to move a level, they think that's progress, because there are other clickers that, like click games, that work like that. But this isn't a click game. I know it has idle in the title. That rhymes. But it is a formation strategy management game. It is a puzzle solving game, where you collect all these pieces, which are the champions, and then you use them, you try to fit them into a formation that's going to move you forward and complete all of the content in the game. There are idle and click mechanics, but for the most part, this is just about solving kind of puzzles, right? So the core loop of the game is push as far as you can, complete the adventure, move on to the next adventure, or if you didn't meet the requirements, go back and do it again with more power. The power that you're getting, it isn't that, hey, you level up your champions and then they stay that level forever. Your champion levels reset. You start over from 0 again and have to level them up. The power that you get is that favor, because favor, the divine favor is what it's referred to, acts as a multiplier on your gold find on your next run. And the more gold you're able to find, the more you can upgrade your champions. That's what gives you the ability to push further early on in the game. That is your kind of your carryover effect. You're getting gems. Those gems you're buying, those are off bosses. Those gems you're buying chests with, hopefully opening those chests. That's getting you items. You can also spend divine favor on blessings. But when you're spending favor on blessings, you want to make sure that the warning box is enabled. Otherwise, you might spend a little too much favor. And then that hurts your gold find and your ability to progress, right? So the complete adventure button does literally that, but then enables all of these core features of the game. J. McUnyielding, we know Desmond's Lament the Lost counts Belushi and Spurt. Does it also count Reborn and Dampier? No. To my knowledge, no. I could go look right now, but they don't have anything that states that they count as dead. That being said, Voronika, coming on Wednesday, counts once you get, there's an ability of hers that makes her count as dead, even though she's not. So she will work with Desmond. I do, maybe at some point in the future, maybe they'll change Reborn and Dampier. I don't think she, hold on. I mean, we can find out real quick. Let me get to Lament the Lost. It's kind of up there. Is he counting? Nope. He's not counting Reborn. And he's not counting Dampier because I have a Dampier in, so. Yeah, I mean, maybe at some point. But Voronika actually states in one of her abilities that she will count for dead. Let me find. The champion spotlight is up. I just posted. I almost posted in chat and then I hit the wrong button. There you go. It is the ability Wed Then Undead. After being killed on her wedding night, Voronika became a ghost. So even though she is technically an Eladrin Druid, she's considered a ghost for the game purposes once you have that ability. So then she counts as dead for the person's effects that care about dead champions, but alive for all other purposes. So there you go. That's a pretty neat addition. So who knows? Maybe they'll do something with that. But honestly, here's the thing. I don't know if they will, because Desmond with 2 dead, or 2 escorts or anything, that's a huge buff. I checked on the stream yesterday. For me, with my items, just having two stacks of Lament the Lost is an E11 buff. That's a big buff. Yeah, so I don't know if they necessarily want to make everyone qualify for that. I mean, that would definitely change the meta. We're about done, so I'm gonna quickly try to get these questions, and then we're gonna go out. I never stopped for a Q&A break. Oops. That's fine. Because we never really stopped for the Q&A. Let me knock these out and then we'll be done for the day. Let me just say real quick, in about an hour-ish after this stream is over, I'll be streaming on my channel, twitch.tv/Gaarawarr. It's Final Fantasy for Saturday, except the F silent. We like alliteration. Final Fantasy Saturday. We're playing Final Fantasy II, the Pixel remasters. Come hang out with us for that in an hour-ish. I have to go get lunch and eat it. King Sanders, pretty new, so would it not be worth spending any attempting to get more familiars for automation? You want power, and you want a combination of power and automation. Automation is nice, but chests are power. Get that power, it's going to help you push. Automation just makes your life a little easier. So sprinkle them in occasionally, but most things should go towards chests. You'll dice game. Can you explain how Ayla is good? The best I can get out of an E6 buff. Well, here's the thing. It's E6 for one of them, but Ayla has 4 magic mirrors, And if it's hitting champions that have, like, say, both DPS and support tags, they're getting both of the buffs. So you have to actually go look at the fact that it's, while the buff number may not look very high, the overall effect it's having on your pushing power is enormous. Now, it depends on gear. Push to your wall. Swap them in and out. Make sure Ayvrin's set up correctly. You always set his mirror to go on your DPS. And he's got adjacency things that he likes, and see what happens. But for most people, Ayvrin's going to blow away Nova if you're not going past like level 1000. Gaarawarr, I've read the gold drops depend on the mob's HP, but do mechanics lowering the HP then drop the gold? They shouldn't, but that's a dev question. You want to ask on Dev Insights on Thursdays. Last question, Adam. I'm currently looking open to Time Gate, and I'm stuck trying to decide between unlocking Shandy or Sentry. Sentry gives you third champion slot 4 for split the party, but Shandy feels like she may help me progress faster. You've got the right thought process. It's kind of going to depend on what you want. I don't think that getting... getting to split the party, that split the party 2 and getting your fast core is kind of a big deal. So, and Sentry is also a speed champion. So yeah, I would probably say go for that. If you've got everybody else already, go for that. If you don't, Shandy's a great speed champion. That's it, folks. Thanks for hanging out. Streams will resume on this channel on Monday, but again, come hang out with me in a little bit. I don't remember what song we're going out on. It's a monster song. Bye, everybody.
Hear the hideous laughter cackling through the trees. Don't you know what she's after? Love's a cruel disease. Smell that fire and brimstone. Sail around through the sky. Princely demon of pleasure, lust is in his eyes. The choice not fair or wrong. Seed has been sown. Equal parts of love and hate. The demon and the witch, together they twist their fate. Yeah, they can't get enough of it. Child of Barbarian anger, destroyer of your dreams, the guises of the worldly. She's never what she seems. Evil bound by evil, desire bound by strife, anger bound by hunger, lovers bound